Hello, welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I am DDO's community manager, Cordovan, and I'll be with you for the next, I don't know how long, maybe up to an hour. Just kind of hanging out while we have downtime. Yes, the game worlds are currently down. Current schedule uptime is by 1 o'clock, so you may see me end up just kind of typing out some messaging. I do have email up and a few other things to be alerted for when we are ready to go live. We're doing update 49.2 here today. So I've got some release notes I can talk a little bit about. And we can just talk a little bit about the latest news. But the game worlds are down right now and should be up by 1 o'clock. So I'll keep you informed, I guess, throughout the show here today. Welcome to everybody on Facebook. Welcome to everybody on YouTube. Welcome to everybody on Twitch. All right. So, a couple of things we could talk about right off the bat. We did announce this week that we are finally, the time has come, XP users, for a change. I have to sit down with you briefly and I've got some bad news for you. Support is ending for Windows XP. We had for really almost a couple of years now, I think, had Windows 7 and above as our minimum recommended spec officially, but the XP client had continued to basically work, and a couple of engineers had done a little bit of work kind of here and there just to kind of keep the motor running. But that motor is about ready to get no longer be monitored. I'm not saying it's going to shut off. We are not deliberately shutting it off. We're just no longer looking at the motor, I guess is the best way to describe it. And that'll happen as of July 21st, which, you know, might coincide with a release date. But we'll see. All of your characters in progress will remain, and you can continue to play the game by running DDO on a Windows 7 or newer operating system. Yes. It has been pointed out in the forum thread that did you remember there was an operating system between XP and Windows 7? And the answer is, oh yeah, that's right. There was a little thing called Vista. This also applies to you as well. The messaging that, you can continue to play by running on a Windows 7 or newer machine is ultimately the relevant one for you. The reason actually we didn't really bring up Vista in the initial messaging is that statistically we basically don't have anyone playing on Vista. I think last we had looked, and it had been a while since we'd even looked, it was like 0.09% of the installs. So really almost into like the singular digits at this point, if even that. So it just didn't really seem particularly relevant to include Vista. But there's a couple of people still on XP, and so we want to let you know that this is happening here, and that I guess we could mention that. Had someone bring up, hey, does that mean the 32-bit client is ending? No, there's nothing to do with that. This is simply an operating system thing. I mean, they may be somewhat related, but no, it doesn't impact that. Does it mean you can stop running DDO from floppy disks? I bet that would be fun. I remember when the game came on a couple of CDs, right? Do we still get a relevant number of XP cases? Not particularly. That's part of why this announcement is happening at this point, is really the threshold of actual users using XP has really gotten to a almost zero amount. It's not very many, but there are still a few folks out there, so we're making the announcement there. All right. Places the 400 cassette tapes containing DDO in storage. Now there's a long song to play back, huh? Yeah. Okay, let's head over to Facebook here real quick. couple people slinging insults at Vista. Poor Vista. It never really worked. I would also mention that there is one other announcement that will be happening, and that is some of the work that was done today. I'll actually be posting this messaging up once the worlds are back open, and getting the word out about that this afternoon. But I can say it now, and that is one of the things we did today is something that is relatively standard industry practice and becoming more so as the years go on. But what we've done today is we have reset the passwords for dormant accounts. Now, the terminology we're using for a dormant account is an account that has not been logged into in more than 2 years. So, if there's which means basically everyone who's hearing my voice this doesn't apply to you, because most likely if you haven't at least logged into DDO in at least 2 years, not a real strong chance you're listening to my voice right now. But if you're out there, or for example, we're getting the word out because as people come back and run into perhaps this issue, the wider community can remember that we have done a password reset on all accounts that have not been logged into for the past 2 years. This is really about account security, helping to prevent people's accounts from becoming compromised to begin with by letting these dormant accounts not sit with their kind of maybe becoming older passwords that become more likely to be used by fraudsters and things like that. So it's good practice for us, it's good practice for you, of course, to regularly update your password details and not share them with anyone. But nonetheless, this is one of those things that we can do to help protect it. What that means, though, is if you haven't logged into the game in 2 years, you're going to have to reset your password. You can do that through the Forgot My Password link. And that does mean that some people returning to the game will run into that issue here in the future, and perhaps because they weren't around today, they may not know that this kind of password reset was done. Now, we're going to be working to get kind of some of that messaging out in the future, on like fact pages, things like that. But for the most part, this is becoming standard industry practice more and more, just as a basic responsibility. So that's one of the things that we're doing here. If you do need further help, you can contact account support through help.standingstonegames.com. But really, this doesn't apply to anyone, most likely, who's here in my face. Troy over on Facebook, two-factor authentication is something that we actively do want to bring to the game here in the future. It is something that will take some kind of work and process and implementation and you know, bringing it into fruition, but it is something that we would like to do in the future, to offer it. Yes. Someone here used to play on Vista. They were one of the few. Even back in the day, there weren't that many people playing on Vista, is my recollection. Yeah. Okay, so I've got those 2 bits of news out of the way. I could call up something here on the page that is worth bringing up, and that would be, we'll just take a quick look at the release notes for the game update that went live here today. So let me take a quick look at that. Get that going up. My camera back up so you could see me. Rah, moving. Okay. There we are. Not helpful. Okay, all right. There we go. So this is what we basically have the games down for today, in addition to some general server maintenance and then this password reset work. Many shots animation will now scale with attack speed while standing still. It was already scaling properly with attack speed while moving. The pause between attack... Here's an interesting one, huh? The pause between attacking with a thrown weapon and reloading a thrown weapon is now properly modified by your thrown weapon attack speed. Here's the rub on that one. It had previously been erroneously being modified by your bow attack speed. So your reload, you know, the how long it takes to get another one ready to go, that literally since the game's start, it appears, may have been inappropriately using the bow attack speed instead of the thrown weapon attack speed. And through a process of forensic elimination, we got that one crushed. But, wow, huh? So anyway, it's now going to be properly modified by your thrown weapon attack speed. And it's really the work that was done related to the bow changes here that brought that investigation deep enough into really the code to be able to identify and resolve that. T-Shout will now properly use your concentration modifier instead of intimidate. Fix an issue with bone paws on the aspect of the Wild Hunt helmet, not updating the appearance of wolf forms correctly. Note, this only applies to wolves. I believe that's the one that someone had brought to our attention recently, where the color of the wolf kind of markings were actually displaying the inverse to other clients than they were displaying on the person's client. I think that's that bug. We also did a bunch of work related to Blade Forged, now consistently showing their correct body appearance when wearing docents and cosmetic docents meant to show your basic body appearance. Also, when using the DDO Store cosmetic preview option, Blade Forged will now show the same coloring in the preview that the item it corresponds to has. It was showing the wrong coloration. We are fixing an issue with the DDO Store cosmetics that had their colors disrupted a couple of updates ago when we did some correction on kind of long-standing coloration errors there. We have restored them to the DDO Store cosmetics. Now, there are still some old cosmetic docents out there that we may not be able to get to, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get to anytime soon. But that's mostly because the base is what it should be now, rather than what it was. So there may be a few outliers out there where you still wish you had the original color, not the new one, and I guess all we can really say to that is we apologize. But if you bought it from the DDO Store, at least, it should now be correct. Also, the Sorakel set bonus now applies its correct effect. We fixed a bug with Froster Reception, where the Hag boss was getting level 9 spells on Heroic, Normal, and Hard instead of Epic Elite. So if you were like, why is it so hard on Heroic Hard versus Epic Elite, there's your answer. Corrected an issue where the Baroness would sometimes not properly give you your reward at the end of the quest. That would typically happen if you did the end fight, then went over to a different NPC to complete a quest related to the Baroness and the optional. Then when you went back, the Baroness would go to the optional dialogue rather than the complete the quest dialogue. So that's really what was going on there. But that's now been fixed. Beautiful Nightmares. Previously non-skippable cutscenes now can be. And corrected an issue that could cause fire elementals to not spawn. We also fixed some various stuck spots in Z fighting. I also happen to know I might have seen the words fixed a perch spot out there. But hey, we're not bringing up exploits here. Melee attack speed and range attack speed on the main page of the character sheet will now properly include feat-based bonuses to attack speed. Double strike, double shot, melee attack speed, range attack speed, and bypass deflection on the main page of the character sheet will no longer show decimal values to the stats. There you go. What is Z fighting? Z fighting is you will recognize it as sort of a flickering display issue that largely will happen maybe on far off distant things. And what happens, I guess, graphically is you've just got two assets meeting at the same vertical axis and competing. And it causes kind of a flickering motion there. When you're, especially like maybe if you're moving off in the distance or things like that. So that's kind of what it means. What the technical term is Z fighting. And it's just one of those things that is common in a lot of video games and needs to be crushed when we find it. So, there we go. Alright, so that's the Parallel Planar Eyes release notes. And I don't know that we have a huge amount of stuff otherwise to talk about here. I can get to perhaps the bonus in that, but let me also double check on the status of DDO. So the worlds are up, as in they can, I believe you can probably start patching, maybe. However, the worlds are not open yet. We've got some QA work, white glove work, kind of checking things before you open them up work going on right now. So I would expect us to have the worlds open in the relatively near future. But I'll let you know when the worlds are formally ready to reopen. It might be a little bit yet. I forgot about this. So that's the other thing I should probably mention, is that I got something kind of cool that I'm going to be doing for this weekend. So on Saturday, I'm going to be pre-taping a tabletop game. What was that sound? I don't know. What was that sound? I'm going to be pre-taping a tabletop game that I will be then broadcasting live for D&D night on DDO stream starting on Sunday, but probably the next couple of times where it would be my rotation, because in the summer I've got my son with me, so I really can't do a live thing on Sunday evenings right now. So instead I'm pre-taping it this Saturday. We're going to be doing more of a live camera face broadcast rather than, say, everyone staring at Fantasy Grounds. And I'm DDO-ifying it. It's called The Steel of Chanticore, and what it is a tabletop-style return to Chanticore. Now, it's not at all going to be a dungeon crawl, because if you actually try to take a DDO dungeon, like a Chanticore, and turn it into a dungeon crawl, it's huge in scope. I mean, just huge in scope in terms of the actual time it would take to go through something like that. I mean, you'd be looking at a whole season, for example, were you to try to do something like that. So I'm condensing it down to really approximately a 6-hour story is what I'm going for here. And then I'm going to cut it up into 3 2-hour segments that get broadcast over the summer here on D&D night on DDO stream. And that'll be the third Sunday of the month. We have rotating DMs every Sunday. 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DDO stream. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a Chanticore thing this weekend. And that's pretty cool. So I've been doing some work related to that. But one of the neat things I was able to do is thank you to Knockback for digging up the audio files of Chanticore, which turns out, let me see if you can see this on camera here. Yeah, you can. Turns out that the music, as it were, of Chanticore is largely a series of interconnected piano snippets that kind of play on a random rotation. So I was able to, thanks to Knockback, get those files and drop them in as little push button things that I can use, say, for example, for the tabletop thing on Saturday. Should be pretty cool. But there we go. I thought it was kind of neat. Anyway, so that's going to be going on starting this Sunday, 7 to 9ish, something like that. Should be fun. Otherwise, like I said, we're really getting ready to reopen the worlds. I don't have a lot else to talk about, so I may be wrapping the show up in the relatively near future, but let me go get to our bonuses then before I do so. I could talk a little bit about what I'm doing on hardcore. I'm level 7. I'm still alive. I've not died yet. I have not had time to play much at all. I've got like 2 weeks to do a lot of housework and projects and mowing the lawn, other things. But I did play a little bit, including running through Chanticore to refresh my own memory about kind of what I should be focusing on, get a few little story bits that I could play against and things like that. So it should be pretty fun. And I'm really looking forward to doing this weekend. Should be a good time. All right, so what do we have going on for the bonuses? Let me make sure I've got the correct dates in front of me. Pixie Slayer. Did you see this somewhere? Oh, it's because I warned you last week. That's why. Yeah, double daily dice. That's what's up. Double daily dice XP. Because last week I told you not to do your gold rolls until after Thursday, and that's why. So yes, double daily dice XP. Running through the weekend, and that'll be through Sunday, May 16th. And I think I managed to take my own advice for the first time maybe ever. So I may actually have some good... Oh, speaking of amazing gold rolls, did I have an amazing gold roll on hardcore on Saturday? Friday, Saturday? I wonder if I can call that up here, even though the worlds are down. I rolled 100 on my gold roll. And I got 15,000. Oh, that's what I got. I remember now. I got 15,000 XP, a +7 strength tome, and like a Crest of Wave cosmetic. I got a +7 strength tome from Daily Dice on the hardcore server over the weekend. How cool is that? How useful will that be? Quite a bit, I'd say. Yeah. Totally hold that for a transfer. I have not consumed it yet. The thought has crossed my mind, yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that until just now. Yeah, that was amazing. That was awesome. It was one of the coolest daily dice rolls I've maybe ever had. Especially in context of it being on hardcore. It was like, oh my gosh, you know how badly I could use a +7 strength tome right now? Do you have any idea? Yeah. So... Yeah. How about fixing the frozen armor in Frosty Reception, which are construct but heal by negative energy? Okay, I will have to double check with Linabelle or Steel Star on that one. Sorry, Albert, I don't have an answer for that today. Possibility of an NPC vendor for old event anniversary items. You have a bag and cards from an old event that never returned. Yes, those bags, that bag and cards will never return. Sorry. That particular event ended up kind of being a problem with a pretty severe, widespread exploit that really caused a situation that it is unlikely we would ever be able to bring those back in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, not gonna happen. Sorry on that one. Perhaps otherwise, that's something we could do on a kind of a case-by-case basis, is find another opportunity, perhaps, to reuse some of that stuff. I have a sound effects board. I use a Stream Deck, mostly to try to better improve by at least 20% my ability to not speak while muted. and among other things. So I found one of these little gadgets to be kind of useful. But all right. Open the game! Yeah, so the game isn't open yet. That's why. I'm actually going to be wrapping up the show, I think, a little bit early here because of that. So. I think that's it. I don't know that we have anything else we can really talk about. There we are. So we've got basically the dev team is hard at work on update 50 at this point. Has been for a little while. And beyond. So we've got a lot that'll be previewed in the relatively near future, but not for a little while yet. When we've got relatively new content just out, and we just did a whole bunch of things related to that. So I think that's the news. And since I don't have much game to play, I'm not going to go do some gameplay. So I guess I'm going to take half my lunch hour back and call it a show. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll be back next Wednesday with more right here on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. And thanks for being here. Talk to you soon.